Uh, my name is Sunny Silverman,
And I'm Colin Johnson. Good to be here with you all.
and welcome to the second episode of the ModCast podcast. So today we're going to be discussing over a bunch of topics today. Uh, so today the first topic will be about the 2024 presidential election, and I wanted to let people know that today is November 4th, the day of the recording. And tomorrow, by the time this will be uploaded, it will be election day. And I want people to know that it is not too late to vote. You still have a right to vote, even if polls close. Isn't that correct, Colin?
Yes, that is correct. You always have the right to vote. And as long as you're in line, you will be able to vote.
Exercise your right to vote and, do your civic duty.
It's extremely important.
Every election is consequential.
I agree.
All right, so today we're going to be discussing the final reactions before, like, the final polling and reactions before the election polls close. So, Colin, like, what is your reaction to the election tomorrow?
Like, what do I think's gonna happen in it, or
Like,
what am I feeling personally?
how do you feel, and how do you think it's gonna turn out?
Part of me thinks it's gonna be a close race. The other half of me thinks polls are wrong and Harris is gonna blow it out of the park. But to be honest with you, I feel like the election is more so in Harris's favor. I think she has a big base behind her. And everybody thinks it's close. Every poll says it's close, and it very well could be. But I want to urge people to kind of avoid the polls. I'm anxious about it. I really don't know what's going to happen, to be honest. But
Correct. Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
All right. So, based on what I think, I agree with Colin. I think Harris is favored to win the election, both electoral wise and popular vote wise. And I think because you are right, polls do say that the election will be close, like neck and neck. But she has a wide base. Like, she has the Nikki Haley voters. She has the anti-Trump voters. She has the entire Democratic base, except for Representative Tlaib. But I feel like her refusing to endorse her would hardly affect the race at all.
Yes. Just note she's not a very popular congresswoman anyway.
Correct. So now we're gonna go over the electoral map. So I'm gonna go over with Colin. So Colin, we're gonna go through every single state. You mentioned which is safe Republican, which is likely, and which is lean. All right.
Okay.
Alabama,
That's solid.
solid Republican or Democrat.
Oh, solid Republican.
All right. Alaska,
Likely Republican.
Arizona,
Tilt Democratic.
Arkansas,
Solid Republican.
California,
Solid Democrat.
Colorado.
I'm in the middle of likely Democrat to solid Democrat.
We'll go with likely, just to be safe.
Okay. Okay.
Connecticut,
Solid Democrat.
Delaware,
Solid Democrat.
District of Columbia,
Solid Democrat.
Florida,
Lean Republican.
Georgia,
Mm, Tilt Republican.
Hawaii,
Solid Democrat.
Idaho,
Solid Republican.
Illinois,
Solid Democrat.
Indiana,
Solid Republican.
Iowa,
Lean Republican.
Kansas,
Solid Republican.
Kentucky,
Solid Republican.
Louisiana,
Solid Republican.
Maine's all district,
Likely Democratic.
Maine's first congressional district,
Solid Democrat.
Maine's second congressional district,
Lean Republican.
Maryland,
Solid Democrat.
Massachusetts, hello,
Hello?
hi, yeah, Massachusetts,
Solid Democrat.
Michigan,
Lean Democrat.
Minnesota,
Likely Democrat.
Mississippi,
Solid Republican.
Missouri,
Solid Republican.
Montana,
Solid Republican.
Nebraska all state,
Solid Republican.
Nebraska's first.
Is that the district over Omaha?
No, the first congressional district is like the
Oh, okay.
it's like the outer base of Omaha, so it's like not number two, but it's number one.
Oh, okay. I would say likely Republican.
Likely Republican. All right, second congressional district, which is over Omaha.
No, that one's lean Democrat.
All right, and Nebraska's third. That's like the eastern portion of Nebraska. The western portion. I'm sorry, the
Uh,
western portion.
oh, solid Republican.
All right, Nevada,
Tilt Democrat.
New Hampshire.
Lean Democrat. To likely. I'm on the verge.
All right, well, I feel like Nebraska will go likely because she's been polling there at least by like 10, 11 points lately.
You
So,
mean New Hampshire?
hello?
Did you mean to say New Hampshire?
Yeah, New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's likely because she's been leaning there by like 10, 11 points, which is not
It's a
bad.
New England state.
It's a New England state. It's like a moderate New England state.
I agree.
But I feel like, but like Biden won there like handedly by like near 8 points. So I feel like she's going to do better.
I do too.
So we'll go with likely.
Okay.
New Jersey,
Solid Democrat.
New Mexico,
Ooh, likely Democrat.
New York,
Solid Democrat.
North Carolina,
Tilt Democrat.
North Dakota,
Solid Republican.
Ohio,
Likely Republican.
Oklahoma,
Solid Republican.
Oregon,
Solid Democrat.
Pennsylvania,
Lean Democrat.
Rhode Island,
Solid Democrat.
South Carolina,
Solid Republican.
South Dakota,
Solid Republican.
Tennessee.
Did you say Tennessee?
Yeah, Tennessee,
Oh, solid Republican.
What about the good old Lone Star State, Texas?
Likely to lean. I'm right on the line between likely or lean Republican.
I mean, Trump has been in the lead there by like what, 5, 6 points?
Yeah, and I mean he's gonna win the state. It's just
How
how
much?
how low is he gonna win it? Because Texas is getting closer, closer, and
It
closer and
is
closer. There's no
because,
question.
yeah, specifically with the Latino voters, particularly and the white suburban women. But I feel
And the
like,
bigger cities are growing.
yeah, and I feel like polls are underestimating Harris in Texas, so I think I'm gonna go with like lean.
Lean. Okay, that's fair.
Uh, Utah,
A solid Republican.
yeah, Vermont,
Solid Democrat.
Virginia,
Likely Democrat.
Washington State,
Solid Democrat.
West Virginia,
Solid Republican.
Wisconsin,
Lean Democrat.
and Wyoming.
A solid Republican.
All right. So, according to our analysis, which of course Colin and I agree, and I had him call him out, we believe that Harris is favored to win 319 electoral votes to Trump's 219.
Wow. So did you agree with every state that I said?
I think you are on point, and the reason why I say this is because I feel like there's some states that I feel like are underestimating Harris, like based on polls, because she has a large demographic of voters. So I think the polling is underestimating Harris because she is gaining from the divided Republican Party.
Correct.
So I feel like Nevada and Arizona will go Democrat, but I feel like by a larger margin.
So you don't agree that my with my tilt margins. You agree that it'll be blue, but just by different margin.
I feel like Arizona will be lean blue and Nevada will be tilt.
I can see why you say that.
Because she's been polling better in Arizona than in Nevada, like earlier, but then now she's polling better in Nevada than Arizona, so it could go either way. But I feel like she's been leaning
Correct.
in Arizona more than Nevada.
You might be right.
All right, so now we're going to talk about the new Iowa poll that just came out. And this was by, of course, the Des Moines Register. And according to according to this poll, it was the Des Moines Register Media.com, and actually, this pollster has been accurate of who wins Iowa in the past elections, except for one time for the Senate, but they have been consistently, correct from gubernatorial to presidential. And they have
Yes.
Kamala Harris leading 47% to Donald Trump's 44, which is a 3-point lead. And that is a major shift from Iowa.
Now, one thing I want to point out that's interesting. Iowa has I mean it was an Obama state twice. I mean, most of the time would go blue. But notice in the last couple presidential elections, it's been solid, almost solid Republican. Like not literally solid, but you know what I mean. It's doesn't look like a swing state anymore, and I didn't think it was a swing state anymore. But I'm looking at one thing I find interesting is if there's no candidate for Senate, voters will give both sides a chance. A lot of them, and I think it points to Harris doing particularly well with senior voters. I think she might be the first Democrat since Al Gore to win seniors.
And not to mention, she's been gaining with white suburban women almost by 30 points, and it's mostly because of the abortion law that happened in Iowa. and she's leading with white men by 2 points, according to like many news sources. Of course, they did a depth on it, and it says that she is leading men by 2 points. And then a recent NBC News poll have her neck and neck with Donald Trump in Iowa. So it's like now 49-49 in Iowa. And so many are considering Iowa to be in swing straight like last minute, and nobody expected this. This is like a surprise, literally. Like last minute surprise before the election.
Yes, and to be honest with you, I know it sounds crazy, but I really think Iowa, there is a decent chance that it could be very close and could even go blue. I'm telling you, it's a state that both, I mean, besides from the primaries, nobody's paying attention to Iowa right now. It's a state that the Democrat Party's moved on from, and the Republican Party's continuing to just count on the support there. But what they don't realize is they're not sending much money to Iowa, if any. And with no Senate candidate there to campaign, if the voter, what's the voters really, what's going to drive them?
And
They're
what
going
a
to go with who they
right.
want. There's nobody to appeal to. And I think that's very helpful if you're on the Harris campaign.
And not to mention, like, you also have the House races, which, like, I think two of them are, like, two of the House races are very contested right now.
This is true.
And so, like, that's a major shock, too. Because, I mean, Iowa, in the last couple presidential elections, in 2000, Ohio went Republican and Iowa went Democrat. And I think we can see, like, a chance that will be happening again.
So who would you give the edge to in Iowa?
I feel like it's possible now with this last minute voting that Iowa could flip to Harris. It's possible, but just to be safe, because of recent elections have been going on in Iowa, like Republicans have been winning there decently. Within gubernatorial, senatorial races, and even local elections, they've been doing really well. So like just to be safe, I'm having it lean Trump, in my opinion. But of course, anything is possible.
Right.
Yeah, and it says right here that according to Jay and Seltzer, who actually is part of the Seltzer and Company, who actually did this poll, and they've been correct. She said that it's hard for anybody to see this coming, and like she's leading among the white voters, and like that's the first time we ever saw, like you said, like maybe ever since Bill Clinton,
That's crazy.
and like because back in September, because there's only been 3 polls that have been pulled in Iowa. Uh, one, I forgot what the first poller was, but I remember it says here that Trump was leading by 4 points in Iowa in September. But then now they have Harris leading in 3%, and now NBC News has her neck and neck with Trump in Iowa.
That's crazy.
And many people,
Because you don't think that way in Iowa.
you don't, and I feel it's because Trump is hurting himself now.
Why do you feel he's hurting himself? Like in Iowa?
I don't know a particular reason, but I also think it's because what happened in Houston when she targeted male voters, asking them, "Do you like to see your female relatives in your family die because of these abortion laws?" And I feel like that targeted them like heavily, and I feel like that
You
really
think that
pissed
really appealed to men?
exactly like she's like, I understand like you won't like you don't get affected by this because you're men, but think about your sister, think about your mother, think about your daughter.
That's true.
And so like that is like hella crazy. And not to mention Robert F. Kennedy's on the ballot in Iowa too. And so I feel like because Robert F. Kennedy, even though he splintered out of the Democratic Party and dropped out, I feel like his name still being on the ballot because he tried to appeal to Iowa to have his name removed. I think those were one of the states that he appealed to have it removed. but it didn't happen.
I got you.
So I feel like his name being on the ballot and him having like similar like conspiracy theories is actually appealing to Trump voters. So I feel like that's hurting Trump more than it is for Harris. And so when Kennedy was in the race, I feel like he was drawing more from the Kamala Harris voters, but then when he dropped out, they went back to her.
Do you? I really feel like him being on the ballot was hurting Trump.
It was, but it was actually hurting both candidates. It brought more.
Right, but I think it got Trump more. And what's interesting is, I mean, with no doubt, we think Jill Stein is, if she was not on the ballot, her votes would go to Harris. But the one thing about it is, I saw one survey. Now, I don't put too much faith in the polls or surveys that said she's hurting Trump more, and that really surprised me because she's very far left.
She is, and not to mention like Kamala Harris, and this was very smart. So I saw an advertisement this morning. I don't know if Colin you saw it. It was an advertisement by the Kamala Harris campaign attacking Jill Stein, saying that if
I
you
did
vote
see
for
that.
Jill Stein, then you're voting for Trump. And how she hurt
Yeah,
the
I did
Clinton
see that.
campaign in 2016. And actually, that is technically true because most of the voters that voted for Stein were going to go to Clinton. And she took like
That's true.
2%. And I think she took like what, 1 to like 2% of her vote?
And it's as close as Michigan was, as close as Wisconsin was, as close as Pennsylvania was. That was enough.
Exactly. And not to mention, I feel like this is targeted at Arab, like at Arab or Islamic voters who are considering to vote for Stein over Harris because of the Israel Gaza war.
Right.
And so I think what the Harris campaign was very smart was to attack the third party campaign, saying that if you're voting for Stein, you're actually voting for Trump because you're
That's
hurting
true.
the Democrats' chance of winning the White House. And this is the same exact party that got Donald Trump elected in the first place.
Right. But what do you think about the argument that Jill Stein is hurting Trump more?
I feel like that is too far fetched because Stein is
Yes.
part of the Green Party, which is kind of like very progressive, you know?
Right. But a lot of Trump donors are giving to Jill Stein
Correct.
because they think she'll draw votes from Harris.
But you also have to think about the libertarian vote there too. Because
Libertarians will go either way. You think they'll go Republican, but that's really not always the case.
that's true. That's true. And the Libertarian Party took a lot of votes in New Mexico with Johnson, with Governor Johnson of New Mexico. He took a lot of votes from Clinton in New Mexico in
I did
2016.
see that. I did see that.
So I feel like this is like I think Harris is doing very well because she actually saw what Stein was doing, what the Republican Party was doing to help Jill Stein take away voters from Harris.
Yes.
Now onto the
Yeah, that's
next.
very smart move.
It was from the Harris campaign. It was
Yes.
okay. Onto the next part, Colin. So because of the Republican divide of the Nikki Haley voters, the anti-Trump
Right.
coalition, the Republicans for Kamala Harris coalition, and voters, and mostly female white suburban voters. I feel like this is relative to 1912 election when President Taft, the incumbent, was running for re-election, and then Theodore Roosevelt, of course, divided the party because of the contentious primary because Roosevelt was running for a more progressive Republican Party. And so then he splintered out of the group and actually hurt Taft. And I feel like it's the same way with 2024, but except without third party presence. What do you think?
I think I would be in agreement with that. I think it could have similarities. Now, I do expect Harris to get a decent chunk of the Republican vote, which is honestly surprising considering, just Kamala Harris and how left she has been in previously. And that kind of surprised me that Republicans are willing to vote for her. But as we mentioned last time, they want to end Trump's career and they think it's worth 4 more years. I should say 4 more years, but they think it's worth, well, yeah, 4 more years of a Democrat than it would be to give him another 4 years because they don't want Trump in charge. They want his career to end. But they think the only way to do it is making sure he doesn't win. And they think Harris is the only viable person they can support that'll actually count because third party, they're not going to get anywhere close to winning.
I believe that is also true, and I feel like this is built to
Yes.
1912 because even though Theodore Roosevelt did split up the Republican ticket, right? There was a there
Yes.
was a huge chunk of Republican progressive voters that did not want either Roosevelt nor Taft. So because they thought that Roosevelt was in it for his own ego and they thought Taft was too conservative and too corrupt. So what did they do? They either stayed home or they voted for Woodrow Wilson, the progressive Democrat. And I feel like this is the same story here. It's like either Republican voters are staying home and not voting or they're voting for Harris.
I agree with that.
And not to mention, remember, Woodrow Wilson won in a landslide.
This is true.
So like that's one thing to consider. And so like regarding the Iowa poll, if the Seltzer company is correct, then where else is she leading? Because it cannot only be Iowa, it has to be in other states possibly as well. Like even think about maybe Ohio or Pennsylvania.
I don't think I would compare it to Ohio. I know JD Vance is really not that popular in Ohio, but it's going to be enough to put him over the finish line. Ohio is not going to go blue, but I mean, I could see Harris making ground with similar voters in Ohio, but it won't be near enough to flip the state, in my opinion.
That yeah, that and also Iowa has like less voters than Ohio because they have a smaller
That's
population.
true.
But I feel like
Yeah, we're on the same page.
one state that is like similar to Iowa is probably Maine's second congressional district because polls in the
I can
second
see that.
congressional district has been getting tighter and closer, where Trump is only in the lead by 1 point. By 1 point, with the margin
I
of
can see
error
that.
of 3%. So, the second congressional district in Maine could possibly go Democrat for the first time since 2012.
That's a far fetched prediction, but I do understand why you compare them because they have very similar voters. Like Maine's second district, they're open to electing either party. I mean, many of the voters are very open minded. Like you see, they have Jared. I think his name is
Jared
Jared
Golden.
Golden. Is
Yeah.
that his name? Yeah, he's a Democrat, but he's a very moderate Democrat. They like independent people like that. As you see, Trump's won the district on the same ballot he's won. Like, and I think what's interesting is he has refused to endorse in this election.
And
I think for his own
yeah,
district because Trump has previously won that district. But I mean, I would bet you money he'll vote for Harris. But I think he's trying to, you know,
stay out of
avoid
it.
weighing in too much. Right.
And not to mention, that Maine second congressional district was very popular with Obama. You know, like Obama, like it's been going for ever since they did the proportional voting, like in Maine. It's been going constantly Democrat since the first time they did the proportional in 1968 until 2016. 2016 was the first time Maine's second split away from Maine's, Democratic vote. Hello? Hello? Hello, Colin? 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 I'm sorry, everybody. We're having a bit of a technical difficulty. Everybody, we're back. Sorry about the technical difficulty. Uh, so, uh, all right. We think, and we think, uh, that it will be similar to 1912. We can agree on that, right, Colin?
Yes, we do agree on that.
All right. All right. So now let's get into the House races. Now, there's a lot of congressional House races that are up, that are very close, and this is the
This is
reason.
true.
And this is the reason why it's important to vote. It's not only the presidency that's up for the ballot. There's House races, local races, state races.
And I want to add something to that. Next time you get mad about who you elected president not passing bills and stuff, remember Congress has to do that. Get out and vote in your congressional elections too.
Correct. And I want people to know, and I want the Trump supporters to know, whoever is watching this, if you lose, it is okay. That's part of democracy. Everybody loses. It's not a big deal.
Right.
That's the reason
I
why
think
we
that can
have
go both
elections.
ways.
That's why we have elections, so that way we can vote people in. I mean, I even
Exactly. It's all about showing up.
it's all about showing up. And Colin, I even heard, because many people are scared of the violence, that they have like the entire city of DC like locked up.
I'm
Like
in Washington D.C. Yes, that's true. Downtown. I mean, you can't. I went by the Capitol last night.
they have it fenced
That
up.
little island and statue in front of the big pool out there, you cannot even go to that. They've got it all fenced off.
And not only that, but they have like the National Guard ready. They have the DC police ready. They have everything ready just in case of violence,
That's true.
because we don't want the same thing to happen in 2020.
Correct.
And Trump said he's not going to concede the election.
I mean, I don't think anybody really expected him to.
That's true. Anyway, so we should get into the House races. Colin.
Okay.
Uh, so of course, here are the closest toss-ups, and we're gonna go through each of them. So the first one is obviously Alaska.
Alaska's interesting. I do think Mary Peltola will prevail, though.
I think by a lean margin.
By a lean margin, I could see that. But see, the candidates know Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin was easier to beat.
That's true, but Mary Peltola is very popular in Alaska.
She's very popular, right? Murkowski announced that that's who she's voting for.
All right. So we are both in agreement that it will go Democrat.
Yes.
All right. Alabama. I feel like the second congressional district, and it says it right here. I already have it like ready. Polling has it that it is like it is likely Democrat, and this will be a Democratic pickup in Alabama for the first time
Oh yeah,
in a
it'll
decade.
go Democratic.
I want people to know this is a Democratic pickup for Alabama for sure.
Yes. They redistricted to add a black congressional district there. Yes, it will go blue.
All right, Arizona Congressional District 1. All right, so I feel now this one is on the outskirts of Maricopa County, but like in a very toss-up area. It went to Republican in 2022 by a lean margin, and it's a toss-up literally, where incumbent David Schwicker is up for re-election there. and he only and of course in the 2020 presidential election, it is 1.5% Democrat for Biden, but then in the House it's 0.9%. It went for the Republican.
I got you. I mean, I don't know. I think it's going to be very interesting.
It will be.
I don't know who I would give the edge to.
I feel like because Kamala Harris is doing very well, and I feel like polls are underestimating Democrats. I feel like it will go to the Democrats. And not to mention, Katie Hobbs won the congressional district in the gubernatorial race.
And what's interesting is, I mean, only reason she won it was because she was going against Carrie Lake. What's interesting is Carrie Lake's also on the ballot this time, so that could be beneficial.
That is true for the Senate, and not only that, but Ruben Gallego is very popular in Arizona right now.
Right now, he's looking pretty good.
So I feel like because of Kari Lake, this is going to go Democrat.
Yes.
But I feel like maybe by tilt margin though, because remember the Democrats are going against an incumbent Republican.
Yes, this is true.
All right, what about congressional district 6?
Let me see. Who's running in Congressional District 6?
Juan Ciscomani, and he is running for re-election, and he won the district by 1.5%, but it went for President Biden in 2020 by 0.1%. And Katie Hobbs won the congressional district, according to Wikipedia, at least by 1%.
I think it will probably go Democratic.
By tilt or lean margin.
Tilt.
So that is two Democratic pickups for Arizona.
Yes.
So Democrats are doing very well. So the next,
Yes.
now for we have a couple in California, and I want people to know that California is actually going to decide the House control.
I would 100% agree. California and New York.
I feel like California will most likely because California holds the most congressional districts in any other state. 52 congressional districts.
That's very true.
And I already did the math myself with all the even with all the New York in California will be the decider
Yes,
because
I agree with that.
California has 6 seats up and a toss up.
Okay, so six toss up seats up for grabs.
And just with New York alone, like even by itself, that's not enough to flip the House towards the Democrats. So
Right.
California will be the decider for the House.
Yes, I agree.
So we're gonna start with Congressional District 13, with the incumbent John Duarte. He is considered a moderate Republican, very moderate, and he won the congressional district by 0.4%, but it went to President Biden by 10.9%. But Gavin Newsom did lose the congressional district in his gubernatorial re-election, but Alex Padilla
Gavin
did
Newsom's
win the
not very
congressional
likable.
district. But Alex Padilla did win.
Gavin Newsom's not very likable, so I wouldn't compare that to,
But Alex Padilla did win the election, in the congressional district. Though Alex Padilla did win
he's
that
more
one.
likable there though than Gavin Newsom.
Mm-hmm.
Gavin Newsom's too controversial.
But according to polls, they have the Democrats up. And many people say that in this specific congressional district, there's a lot of Kamala Harris supporters.
Yeah, I mean, I think she can help pull across, but the thing is, a lot of people will be willing to split their ticket.
That is true too. But I feel like John Duarte is like mid popular there, mid.
Yes.
He's not like super popular. He's not like Alex Padilla, or he's not like Kevin Kiley in the third congressional district. He's not like that. He's like semi popular. I think he's like around 50, 49% popular popularity. But the Democrat,
Right. He's
but
not too popular, but not too unpopular.
correct. But the Democratic opponent is very popular in that district.
Well,
I
that
f-
incumbency will take you a long way, but it won't always prevail, though.
correct. So I feel like this is gonna go Democrat by lean margin.
Yes.
All right. The next one is obviously California 22. This seat is currently held by David Valadao. He lost the district in 2018 with the Democratic tsunami during that year. He won. Then he ran for a rematch against the opponent, and he won his district back. And then he won it again in 22, and now he's running for re-election again.
It depends on will the blue wave hit California. A presidential year will sweep him out if that blue wave hits California.
I mean, it did go for Biden by 12%.
Well, it'll have to see if that blue wave really hits California.
I feel like this is more like of a toss-up, but I feel because Kamala Harris is popular in California, I feel like it will go, Democrat by tilt margin. What do you think?
I do too. I do too.
All right, now it's time for California's 27th. Uh,
And who's running there?
the current incumbent in California's 27th is Republican incumbent Mike Garcia. This congressional district represents the northern portion of Los Angeles County, and I want people to note that LA County is 70% Democrat, but the northern portion of the county is very Republican. It's very conservative and rural. It's like near the border of Kern County, which voted for Trump by at least 60%.
I got you.
I feel like I feel
I
like
just don't see Garcia losing though.
I don't see him losing either because that portion of LA County is like very MAGA.
I just do not see Garcia losing. I don't know what it is, but he always has that swing appeal in that district.
And like, but here's the interesting part. That portion of LA County is very white, like very white and rural. And so like
Yes.
they are pure MAGA. But what's interesting though is that this specific congressional district voted for Biden by 12%. But it kept voting.
That's what I'm saying. Garcia just has that. I don't know. He just has that swing vote appeal.
No, but
I
listen
don't
to
know what it
this.
is about him.
No, but listen to
Okay.
this. This is very interesting. In 2022, Alex Padilla, who of course is more popular than Gavin Newsom,
Right.
Alex Padilla lost this congressional district in his reelection. But also because Republican voter was up more in 22 than it was in 2020.
Yeah. You got a point.
All right,
You
so
do have a point though.
yeah, so I feel like this will go lean Republican.
Okay. I think I would agree.
All right. Next we have California 41, and let me see here. This is gonna be within Los Angeles County. Yes. So 41 is currently represented by Republican Ken Calvert. Um, so he won the race by 4.6%. It represents on the borders of San Bernardino and LA County, but it went to Trump in 2020 by 1.1%. So I feel like this will go lean Republican because it's like
I
the
agree.
eastern portion of LA County. It's like it mostly
I
covers the
agree.
portion of San Bernardino, which is more conservative. So yeah, I feel like this will
I
go.
think you're right.
I feel like this will go lean Republican.
Yeah, it'll go red.
All right, now it's time for Congressional District 45, and this is a very tight, very competitive district. Now we're in the Orange County part. We're now in the Congressional District where it is in Orange County.
Okay.
And Orange County is very competitive. And remember, it it went for every Republican presidential candidate, and all the congressional districts in Orange County historically have been going Republican until 2016, 2018, when Hillary Clinton won the county for the first time since FDR in 1936.
Okay. That's
So
interesting.
exactly, so it went Democrat after 70 years of Republican vote. Um, so basically, Hillary Clinton vote broke the Republican tradition in Orange County.
Yes.
And 45 is currently represented by Michelle Steele, who which went towards she won the congressional district the last time by 4.8%. Went for Joe Biden by 6.2.
Yeah. She's not losing.
I don't think she's gonna lose either. No, because
Nah, she
and
won't
actually
lose.
she's very popular in that district. Like not heavily,
Yep.
but she's popular.
She won't lose. She gets a lot of Democrat
I
voters too.
exactly, and I feel like this is gonna go lean Republican. And now time for the Congressional District 47, which is currently represented by Democrat Katie Porter, who is retiring because she went for the U.S. Senate, but she failed to
Right.
go towards the general election.
Yes. Now that district is very competitive.
It is this one, and according to California polling, this congressional district is the most competitive than any other congressional district in California. And not to mention,
I see.
they are represented by a very progressive Democrat.
Right. That's true.
And she won it by 3.4%, but it went to Joe Biden by 11%. But I feel like
Yeah.
because of Katie Porter and her support for Kamala Harris, and because of course she's going to support Adam Schiff as well, up and down the ballot, I feel like this will go tilt Democrat. And because the incumbent's not running, I feel like the Democrats will keep it, but by tilt margin.
I got you. Yeah. Honestly, it could go either way. Like even if Katie Porter was on the ballot, I'd only say tilt blue because she's the incumbent.
Yeah. All right. So according to this, according to the our analysis, Democrats will gain 2 congressional districts in California. Now,
Sounds about right.
for Colorado, Colorado has 2 congressional districts that are very close, which is Congressional District 8 and Congressional District 3. Uh, Now, here's an interesting part. Colorado 3 is currently represented by Lauren Boebert, but
Right.
she's not running for re-election in that district. She switched congressional district after a very close election in 22 again in 22 after she narrowly lost against Adam Frisch in 22.
Yes.
And so now she's running in the 4th congressional district because I think she knew she was going to lose if she ran for re-election again.
Because she almost got beaten. Nobody expected it.
She only won the congressional district by 0.2%.
Now, a lot of people had already called it for her opponent.
Yes, that's very true. But it went for President Trump in 2020 by 8%.
Yes.
And they're running a better Republican candidate, a more moderate Republican candidate. And so I feel like
Yeah, that district will go red
it will go
now
red,
that Bobert's
but
not
by
on there.
lean
But Adam
margin.
Frisch is a strong candidate though. If they ran a not well known Republican, maybe, but
But Jeff Hurd is more moderate than Lauren Boebert.
right, that's why I think he'll go for him.
Now, for Congressional District 8, Yadira Saravillo is running for re-election, and she won the congressional district by 0.7%, but it went for Biden by 4.6%. I think this will stay in Democratic hands because I feel like a bunch because I feel like you're right. It's probably like split ticket voting, but I believe because since she is incumbent and she's slightly popular, slightly, I feel like she's got it in the bag. What do you think,
Yeah,
Colin? Democrat?
yeah, I agree with you. Yeah,
I say it's like tilt. Democrat tilt.
who's the Democratic
Uh,
candidate?
Yadira Saravillo.
Okay, and he's going against
She.
Boebert, right?
It's a she.
Oh, it's a she. That's my bad.
Yeah,
I'm
Yadira
not familiar with the
Saravillo
candidates in that district.
is going
That's
against.
my bad. I'm just not familiar with that district's names very
It's
much.
okay. Uh, she is going against Gabe Evans,
Abe Evans.
who is very moderate.
You could go either way,
It can
but
go
I
either
think
way, but
Colorado. I think Harris is going to do really good in Colorado.
she is, and I feel like that's going to help the Democrat. Um, Now it's time for Connecticut 5th Congressional District. And this is on the western portion of Connecticut, which actually voted for Trump by 50%. Like, because it has a county that voted for, Trump by 50%. But the Democrat won by 0.8%, but Biden won the congressional district by 10.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Colorado's another interesting state.
No, but we're not.
Not
We're talking about Connecticut's 5th.
Connecticut. Connecticut's fifth. My bad. I thought we were still going on
No,
about the
no. I'm so
previous one.
sorry. Yeah.
Colorado.
No, I said
No, you're
Connecticut.
good. You're good.
Yeah. The incumbent Democrat is Johanna Hayes.
She will be all right.
She'll be alright. Yeah, I feel like this is in
She
her.
was she the lieutenant governor of the state?
I can actually do a bit more research on that. Let me look her up.
Okay. I know she held some other state office or something. But yes, she will be all right. She's incumbent now. She won't have any issues. But yes, she will be okay.
She was. Let me see here. She held no pre. She had no previous political office. This is her
Hmm.
first ever political office.
Well, good for her. I was must have her confused with somebody else.
Okay, but I think she's got it in the bag. So there's no
I
chances for
do too.
anyone.
She's the incumbent,
Yeah, since she's the incumbent, she's got it.
and incumbent Democrats. It's rare that Connecticut rejects them.
Yeah, and now it's time for Florida's 13th congressional district, and that will be in Tampa, and
Tampa,
that'll be the western portion of where Tampa is. Like,
Pinellas County.
I think so.
Charlie Chris, I think, used to represent that district
Let me see.
before they redistricted it.
Let me see. Where he is at. Did it go for Charlie Crist?
Well, they redistricted the district, but I want to say that was the one Charlie Chris represented.
Oh, okay. So Charlie Crist. I think he already retired.
Yes, he did, but I'm asking, like, did he previously represent it?
Let me see.
He ran for governor.
He was the previous governor.
Yeah, and he ran again against DeSantis but lost.
Uh, he represented. Yes, he did. He previously represented this congressional district.
Okay, yes. Who represents it now? She's
Uh,
Hispanic, correct?
yes, Ana Luna.
She's a nut. She might actually get beat.
Well, according to this, she won her previous election by 8%, and Trump won this congressional
She was
district by
not near
six
as well known.
by 6.8%.
I really think that, especially with the whole FEMA thing, I think that
She's
I
going
think it's a
against Whitney Fox.
yeah. I think there's a decent chance Fox could pull it off.
Many people are calling it already for the Republican, but of course, anything is possible.
Yeah, you're right.
Right now, according to this, they have this district by leaning Republican.
I mean, I think
But you also have
she'll
to,
slightly get it,
but you also have to,
but I think it will.
but you also have to remember, before they redistricted Florida, right? Before they redistricted, the 13th congressional district represented the whole city of Tampa, so even the western portion. But now they divided it.
Yeah, right. It used to be just over Pinellas County, if I'm correct.
Mm-hmm. But
But
now,
yes, I give it to Luna as the slight favorite only because she's the incumbent. But I think you could see something like we saw in Lauren Boebert's race back last cycle.
yeah.
I'm telling you, she's turned into a very controversial figure, especially her comments
So
regarding FEMA.
polling has her
These
at,
people are giving up on her.
yeah, yeah, and polling has her by lean margin. But I feel like
Yeah.
it'll be
She'll
tighter.
probably win. Yeah.
I feel like it will be tighter.
Yes, and a lot of people love to see, especially in a state with such a high Hispanic population, people love seeing Hispanic leaders in charge. And
And it doesn't matter if it's Democrat or Republican. They just like to see a
that's right.
Hispanic in charge.
That's right. And you know, some people, but I really don't think that's going to apply to her. I think people are really getting sick of her in that district because she's not no longer just representing them. She's become too much of a controversial figure,
She's become
and they
too
feel she's not
radical,
representing
basically.
their needs.
She's become too radical
Exactly,
on the
like Lauren
conservative.
Boebert. They thought she was just a pro MAGA Republican young woman, and then they saw her coming off that she's turned crazy all of a sudden. So they're like, "Yeah, no."
Yeah, that's
And I
true.
think the same thing could happen to her, but I don't think she'll lose. But I think we could see something pretty close. She's not popular.
She's not.
That R is what's going to save her.
I agree with you. Now from
Yeah.
Iowa, first and third congressional district. Both of them are
I'm going to
toss-ups.
go ahead and just call both of them now. I think they're both going to go blue. Tilt blue, both of them.
I want to let people know that I feel like the third congressional district has a better chance of turning blue than the first one.
Which city is that one over? What's like the
Uh,
big region of like?
if let me see this. Let me see. Do you have your political map with you?
I do.
All right. Do you see where it says press state? Like this.
Okay, let me pull it up. I know. Why don't we do it this way? So we know that Iowa's split into basically four corners for the congressional district. You want to tell me like, is it the Northwest? Is it the Southwest region?
It's
You know
like
what I'm trying to say?
it's like this middle southern portion of Iowa, the middle southern portion.
Okay. All right. Yes, I agree with you. That one will probably be the easiest one for Democrats to flip. I can't believe they all went red last time, but they were close. But I think in a presidential year, the Democrats will prevail,
I feel like this
especially
one.
since Harris is surprisingly doing better in Iowa.
Yeah,
So I think Democrats will prevail in at least one of them, but I would give the Democrats the edge in both because they weren't even incumbents last time, but
Uh-huh.
now they're incumbents, but they're not popular enough incumbents. Like if you ask anybody in the district, I doubt they even know their name.
Exactly, and I think that the third congressional district will go Democrat by a lean margin, but the first one will go by tilt margin.
I think we're in the same boat there.
So that's a two Democratic vote. Democrats gain two seats
Yes.
there. Um,
So far, Democrats, as long as they keep every seat, they have won back the majority.
yeah, as long as they
From our predictions so far, but now we have to get into, are they going to hold every seat they got? But that's a different discussion.
um,
We're going for the toss up.
yeah, we're going for the toss-ups. I feel like the same congressional districts they have it in lot. They have it in lot.
Oh yeah.
I think it's the toss-up races that we keep an eye out that will decide it.
Just wanted to say a silly comment I heard. It's just from delusional people. They say that Maxine Waters and Nancy Pelosi might get beat this time.
That is ridiculous.
Their districts are as blue gets.
Please, is
They're not getting beat.
San Francisco County went 80% for Biden, and Nancy Pelosi won her congressional district in the last election by 90%.
A matter of fact, she'll probably have another. I haven't looked in her race enough, but she's probably running against another Democrat.
She is,
She has
but she's too
previously. Yes,
popular.
so she's not going to lose if it's against another Democrat, and she's definitely not going to lose if it's against a Republican.
Right, and
But
same
see,
with
these
Maxine
people are very
Waters.
uneducated in the district. She's not
Maxine
losing either.
Maxine Waters won her congressional district by at least 70% in LA County, you know?
Yeah, you have a good point, man.
So like it's completely
She's
delusional.
not losing. She's a longtime congresswoman. Both of them are. They're both popular figures in the Democrat Party. It's going to take a whole lot to knock them off. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not even worth the effort. You're not going to knock them off.
All
But I
right.
just wanted to say something
Yeah.
silly.
All right, now we're moving on to Louisiana's 5th congressional district. This district was redistricted or was redistricted to favor more African Americans, and it mostly
Yes,
represents the Baton Rouge and the outer portions of Shreveport.
that district will flip Democratic.
It's safe, and it turns out here that it will go Democratic, um,
Yes, it will
because
go Democratic.
Louisiana 6, which is currently represented by a Republican who is retiring, according to this, it went for the Democrats by 19%, near 20%. This is for sure a safe Democratic.
Yes,
This is a Democratic flip for sure.
I am in full agreement.
Now for May's 2nd congressional district. This is a toss-up, but of course, like we discussed previously, Representative Jared Golden, is doing very well there, and of course, like
Jared Golden's not going to lose.
he's not. I
He
feel
will
like,
prevail.
and not only that, but he won his district by 6%.
I think the Republicans are done trying to knock him off
Yeah, I feel, but
because they see that just like Susan Collins, the Democrats, they thought they were going to beat. I mean, that's why you can't trust polls show that she was toast. She was very unpopular, and she ended up winning by a good margin too. But the thing is, a lot of Biden voters are like, "Come on, we don't want to get rid of one of our only moderates
but I feel like
because yeah,
since it's a presidential year, I feel like it will go less for Golden. Like maybe his votes are being, I think they're underestimating Republican support there, so I feel like it will go to Golden, but probably by like a lean margin because Trump is in the
maybe
ballot.
so, but
Because Trump is on
But
the ballot,
see, the Republicans are not out to get Golden. And like I say, a lot of Trump voters there don't mind Jared Golden.
so there's
So
like
I
a
don't think they're going to be as anxious to get him out of there
so,
like they would.
so they're doing
So I
so.
think
I
he'll
feel like
prevail.
I do agree with you. Like there's gonna be a lot of a lot of split ticket voting here.
Right. And you'll see a split ticket, I feel like. It'll be a Donald Trump win, but it'll also be a Jared Golden.
So do you think it will be like? Because I feel like it will be lean. But are you saying we'll go like likely?
Lean, no, lean Democratic, but on the bigger side of lean.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's only till lean, likely, and safe. So
Yes.
now, here we go. Michigan 7, 8, and 10. All right. We're in Michigan. So of course Michigan's 10 is currently represented by John James, who ran for the Senate twice, in 2018 and 2020, but lost both races. Then he ran for House Representative seat for the 10th congressional district in Michigan. He won that race, but by a very slim margin, by 0.5%. And Trump won this district in 2020 by 1%.
I'm telling you, if Democrats would have just sent $500 to John James's district, he would not be in Congress right now. I mean, they didn't even have to send hardly any money there. They just, if they would have just sent $500 more, John James wouldn't have won. His previous opponent is rematching him again. I really do think John James is in good hands this time,
Yeah, I
though.
feel
I
like
actually
he's
met
gonna win
John
re-election
James
for sure.
a
This
month
is
or two ago. So he's an incumbent now, and people actually know who he is. Like, it's not so much is he likable or not, but he's more likable now than he was when he was running for Senate
that's true.
because he's kind of chilled out. So I
I
really,
think he's like what
I,
52% popularity.
I don't know, but he's not controversial like he used to be. Some people viewed him as controversial, but he's really not anymore. I think John James will. I think he'll prevail. I just he's not. It was an open race last time. Only people knew about him was that two-time loser who ran for Senate.
Yeah,
And I can't believe he won then. But if he won then, I don't think you're gonna knock him off as an incumbent because if somebody says his name, you actually know who he is. Versus these no new these freshman Congress members in Iowa, nobody even knows their first name there. So
that's
this
true.
this time, John James is gonna be a little safer. I think he'll win it by a lean Republican.
All right, now it's time for the seventh, which is currently represented by Alyssa Slotkin, who is retiring to run for U.S. Senate. And in this district, she won in the last election by 5.4%, but it went for Biden by 0.5%. And the
Ugh, it's gonna be so close.
that one is very close.
And she's the. I mean, honestly, with her on the ballot, I don't know though. I think with her on the ballot, it'll stay Democratic.
I think so too. And
Only
Kamala,
because she's on the ballot, but it's not going to be close, and it wouldn't surprise me if Republicans were to pick it up.
I'll have it as tilt for now.
Okay.
As tilt for now because this is the representative that is running for U.S. Senate.
Yes. She's in a good position to win the Senate race too, but and I guarantee she'll carry her district too.
Yeah. And now time for the 8th congressional district of Michigan. Uh, 10 the Democrat won by 10%, but the presidency ran Biden won this district by 2%. And this is currently held by Dan Kildee, who is retiring.
That's not good for Democrats.
It's not, but remember, we have very good Democrats running in these races right now.
It depends on the true, but also statewide Democrats. Harris is good in every part of the state except for Dearborn. As long as the district's not over in Dearborn, Harris is a strong candidate in Michigan. Slotkin, she's another strong one. You know, I
Yeah,
think the Democrats are really running a good team there. Whitmer, God love her, she's been on
she's very
the
popular.
campaign trail this time.
She's very
Yeah, she's
popular.
pretty popular, and
And
I think
she won Michigan more like better than what polls said.
every time she swept Michigan, she got the second time it was supposed to be a tight race, but
She
I'm
won it
telling you
almost by
that
6
Gretchen
points.
Whitmore, you cannot knock her off.
You can't.
It's they can invest up $1 billion against Gretchen Whitmore. You're not gonna beat her off.
But I think because of Alyssa Slotkin on the ballot, and Kamala Harris is like less slightly popular than Slotkin, but
Yes.
because of Slotkin, I feel like it will go Democrat, but maybe by a tilt margin because Trump is also on the ballot.
Yes.
So according to our analysis, I don't think nothing will change in Michigan.
Yes, I
Okay.
would agree.
Yeah. Next, it is Montana's first congressional district.
Republicans are gonna get that one.
Yeah, I
It
agree.
was competitive last
It's
time,
competitive,
but they,
but they have a good
but
Republican running
honestly,
there.
John Tester's not doing real well in Montana. I mean, you think that, but see, I wouldn't be surprised if he prevails though. He's You can shoot him down, but he won't fall. I don't know. There's just you cannot get John Tester out, but this time I think it's a good chance he does get out. But him on the ballot might be enough to help the Democrats though, because he'll do better than the Democrats, but he needs to win the state, not do good.
Well, I mean, Trump won this district by 7%. But the House in the last race,
Montana's one of those states though. It will go anyway. Like they'll split ticket. It's not.
it's
It's not
basically
a
like
state that really
Kentucky,
matters.
basically. It's basically like kind of like
No,
Kentucky, or no,
no, Kentucky. I disagree in that Kentucky. No, if your name's not Bashir, you're not winning
that's
Kentucky.
true. So like maybe more of Ohio, kind of. Like Ohio's like willing to
Yeah,
split the ticket,
maybe. Maybe so, yeah. I would agree, yeah.
but I feel like
Alaska and Montana are a lot alike.
Alaska for sure. But I feel like because John Tester's doing very poorly there, I think this is the House race for Republicans. But of
I do
course,
too.
it could go either way.
Yes, agree.
All right, so I feel like as in a lean margin, but specifically as it represents Billings, you know.
Right.
Um, all right. Here we go. This is gonna hurt Democrats a lot. Wait a minute, just make sure. Yes, it will hurt them a lot. North Carolina.
Democrats, any incumbent Democrats are toast in North Carolina. When the Republicans took over the Supreme Court,
And when they
they
took
allowed them
over the
to
House of
gerrymander those
Reps,
maps.
and they
See,
were
right now they have fair 50-50 maps there. But no, they've gerrymandered those maps so bad.
uh,
It's Republicans are gonna sweep it.
I mean, they took over the Supreme Court, and because of that one Democrat that switched party affiliations, it gave the Republicans a supermajority, in like one of their
Yep,
houses.
it did.
So, and I think both houses are supermajority Republican.
Now they are.
Yeah, and I think because one of the districts, Jeff Jackson, he is the current representative there
He's going for the attorney general spot
because he knows
because
he's gonna lose the House
he's a
race.
real guy. He said, "I'm toast, guys." He got on TikTok and said that. So he knew he was toasting Congress, but I think he's a great candidate for a statewide election.
Yeah, he is.
So he made a good decision.
But I feel like it's all gonna go Republican.
Yes,
So that's
the
a
districts. We don't even have to talk about North
no,
Carolina.
not at
Yes,
all. Yeah, and besides, it's
all
already
the toss
automatically filled
districts are
in.
going
It's
Republican.
automatically filled in. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll skip to Nebraska second.
All right. And Nebraska second is like really interesting because Kamala Harris there is leading, and so that's
I
kind of
think it's gonna
helping.
go blue this time. I
It
think this
is.
time will be the
It
time it
is.
goes blue.
And not only
I
that,
really think it will.
Kamala Harris is leading there very well. That's one thing, and also because Don Bacon is not really popular.
He's not popular enough to get people to split their ticket.
No, so this is definitely gonna go Democrat. This is a Democratic gain in Nebraska.
I agree.
All right. The next one is New Jersey,
New Jersey,
the seventh
New
congressional
Jersey
district.
seventh. It'll go blue.
You think so?
Yeah.
It did go. I mean, it did go for the presidency Democrat by 4%.
I think New Jersey's trending Republican though.
I mean, like in 2021, they did have a very close governor race. It was like it was closer
That's
than
not what I'm
anyone thought.
talking about though. But the governor's races you can't always judge by.
But I feel like
But yeah, I just feel like The New Jersey might
Yeah,
go, so it might go red.
Tom Keene is not very popular.
Yeah,
He's not,
it might go red. Honestly, now that I'm thinking about it,
because I mean it does represent like the western portion of New Jersey, and it in the
and
southern
that's kind
portion
of
of New York, which is very like rural and conservative.
yeah. I think Republicans might get that one.
Yeah, I feel it, but it says here by a lean margin, but I feel like
It wouldn't
it's
surprise me
underestimating
either
it.
way.
So I feel like I think it's gonna go by tilt. I think they're underestimating Democrats too much.
I do too.
But I feel like I feel like Republicans will win this district for sure.
Yeah, probably so. Now that I think about it,
New Mexico, second congressional district. I feel like
it'll go
it will
blue.
go blue, yeah, for sure, because the majority of the district is on the southern border, and is majority
Right.
Mexican Americans, and actually Mexican Americans are the only demographic of Latino voters that go more heavily Democrat than any other Latino demographic.
Except the Puerto Rican vote appears to be doing the same.
That's true, but Mexicans are more liberal,
Yes.
and specifically talking because like there's a bunch of Mexican people in the United States that have families in Mexico. Not to mention, remember they
Exactly.
elected Scheinbaum, who is a very progressive president.
I'm telling you, all you got to do is ask any Mexican person who lives in those border towns. They'll tell you that they're first or second generation.
Correct, and
And
that
I
they have
think they really
families in Mexico.
value, they're not so much like a lot are more focused on border security. They're really not that focused on border security. They're more so focused on pathways to citizenship. I
Right,
feel like a lot of Mexican Americans are. But versus a lot of other groups, they're more like, we got to secure the border.
and I
But I
think
feel like Mexican Americans value immigration reform over border security. So
right,
I think that'll help the
and
Democrats down there.
and specifically in New Mexico, because remember they also have like a lot of family members in Mexico,
Right,
so that's going blue for sure. Now
right.
New York has a couple.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big indicator too.
Yeah. So, of course, number four, which I think is in New York City. Yes, it is. It is currently represented by Anthony Despacito, but he's very
Ugh,
unpopular there.
that's what I was thinking, but
And Trump campaigning in
it,
Madison Square Garden, I feel like that hurt the Republican representative there.
yeah, yeah. He's not popular. Yeah, I think that district might go blue again
Yeah, that's a
if
flip.
Harris does good
That's for
enough in
sure a
New
flip.
York.
That's for sure a flip. Um,
Yes,
for number 17, which is which is currently represented by Michael Schuyler, Michael Lawler. I'm so sorry, I misread that.
Mike Lawler. He's going against Mondare Jones.
And the president there, the presidency in 2020, it went by 10%.
Yeah, I'll tell you though, Lawler is kind of popular though. Like
He
not really
is,
popular, but he's kind of likable because he's moderate. And but Mondare Jones, he's now pretending he's a moderate, but like he was pretty progressive back when he was in Congress.
and this is like a rural part of New York, like on the outskirts of New York City.
I don't know if Mondare is the right candidate
No,
to
this
do
is
that
definitely
district because he has
saying,
a progressive record.
but I feel like it's gonna go tilt because Harris is leading in that district.
That might be what will say that what will help Mondare return to Congress if you know.
But I feel like this is tilt Republican.
Yeah,
Now time for the 19th, 18th. I'm so sorry, 18th.
you good.
Pat Ryan is running for re-election, and Pat
I
Ryan
think
is
Pat
very
Ryan will
popular.
win.
He
Yeah,
defeated
Pat
a,
Ryan will win.
and not to mention, he defeated a popular Republican.
Yeah, Pat Ryan's a good candidate.
This is for sure
If it
flip.
was any other Democrat in that district, I would say Republican. But nah, you said it all when you said Pat Ryan.
Yeah. New York 19 is currently represented by Mark Molinaro. He is running against Josh Riley, and it went for the
I
presidency
think
by
that'll go red.
4.5%. And
I think it'll go red.
it represents parts of Albany.
That's upstate.
No, it represents parts of Albany, but also Oneida, which it went
No, it might go blue.
which it went
No,
for
that's
Democrats by
upstate.
seventy
Yeah.
percent. The county went for Democrats by 70%. Oneida County.
Yeah.
I feel like this will go blue in my
The
opinion.
Democrats. Yeah, I give it to the Democrats. I thought more about where it's located.
You saw the map, huh?
Yes.
And for 22, it represents the majority part of Oneida County. And that's pretty much it. The rest are Republican, but Oneida is like the most populous county in that district.
Yes.
So that's going for sure. And so it is currently represented by Republican, but that's definitely a Democratic flip. So for this one, 3 flips for Democrats.
Yes.
And now Ohio 9 and 13. I feel like Ohio 9 is currently represented by Marcy Kaptur, and she is very popular too. And it represents part of Toledo. It represents Toledo.
She'll win.
She'll win, yeah.
She's,
And
she's not
Amelia
going anywhere.
Sykes, who is considered moderate, like moderate liberal, it
I
rep-
think she'll be fine too. She's really
yeah,
surprised me with the appeal she has in that district. I didn't think she'd have a whole lot of appeal,
right, yeah.
but she really does.
So nothing's gonna change in Ohio.
I don't think so either.
Next, it is um, Oregon, Oregon, the fifth congressional district, which is currently represented by Lori Chavez de Raymer, and she is currently unpopular right now in the district, and she is going against Janelle Banham.
I think that's a blue. That'll be blue.
Yeah, that's it for sure, flip, and especially because they went for the presidency by nine
Democrats
percent.
do good on the West Coast, especially in those upper two states on the West Coast,
Yeah,
Washington and Oregon at the presidential level.
but I feel like this is a lean margin,
Yeah.
so that's a Democratic flip right there. Uh, Pennsylvania 7, 8, 10, and 17. We have 4 tight races in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And not to mention Pennsylvania will be is a battleground state.
It's true. That's the problem. That's why it's so hard to predict these tough districts there.
So Pennsylvania
I
7,
think every incumbent there will probably win, though.
yeah, Susan Wild, who is a representative currently, she is very popular.
She'll win.
She'll win,
She'll
yeah.
win. Yeah.
And represents parts of Buck County, which votes occasionally votes Democrat. Um, and Matt Cartwright, she's also popular, and it represents part of Scranton, Pennsylvania, where Brian is originally from.
Right.
She's gonna win that one for sure too. The 17th district is for sure going Democrat because it represents that like the western portion of Allegheny County, which is Pittsburgh.
Yes.
So yeah, that's for sure going
I,
Democrat. The
I
one
think every incumbent will prevail in the toss up races. I don't think they'll flip.
I think, but Scott Perry though in the 10th congressional district, it represents
Now
Dauphin
that
County.
one's interesting though. I think he's vulnerable, but I don't think he'll actually lose. But I think it's going to be a tougher race than a lot of people expect. But
And
I think a lot of people are also expecting it to be closer because
mhm.
he's not a very popular
He's not,
member anymore.
but I think because of Trump, I think this is a tilt margin.
Yeah, I think he'll prevail, but I think it'll be a
Uh,
close one. I think
yeah.
he'll underperform.
Next, it is Texas 34.
Is that Colin Howard's district?
I hope not. uh, 34. No, it is currently represented by Vicente Gonzalez.
Oh, that's on. Okay, yeah, I know where that one's at.
It's like on the.
Gonzalez.
It's like where
Ah,
Corpus Christi is at.
okay, yeah. Gonzalez. I think he'll.
He's running for re-election
I think he'll.
against Myra Flores, and as you know, she used to be a House of Reps there, but then she lost that same district in 22.
Yeah, I, I was surprised she won.
No, but then she lost in 22.
Yeah, then she turned around and lost. Yeah. Um,
So
she
it's like
won that special election.
no, yeah, but I think his Democratic vote was like very low. Uh, it went for the House by 8%, and Biden won this district by 15%. This is going for sure Democrat, for sure,
Yes,
because Corpus Christi is a Democratic city.
it is a Democrat city.
All right, all we have is so Virginia 2 and 7.
Now those are going to be interesting. Spamberger's going for the governor's race.
Yeah, so she's retiring. She's gonna run for
Yes.
governor 25.
Man, I don't know. Without Spamberger being on, well, she will be on the ballot, but not this year.
No, but the thing is that
Without Spamberger
her
being on
district
the ballot, I think that's gonna hurt,
no, but her district represents part of Fairfax County.
which could be helpful. I don't know though, man. Without Spamberger being on the ballot, I think that might really hurt.
Uh, well, according to this, the Democratic nominee is Eugene Vindman.
I saw his signs when I was over there the other day. He's pretty popular and well known, especially on January 6th and all that.
And Spanberger did endorse him too.
Yes. Now, an endorsement won't get all your votes over to him, but I think that'll be beneficial.
I think,
Yeah,
but
I think he'll prevail.
I think he'll prevail.
But I think without her being on the ballot, that's really an issue.
Yeah.
So
And
Democrats are going to struggle to sleep
yeah,
without Spamberger on
that's
the ballot.
Virginia 7. Uh, and for Virginia 2, which represents the peninsula and Virginia and the southeastern in the southeastern portion of Virginia, and went Democrat in
But
2018.
Elaine, I forget her
Jen
last name,
Kagans is
lost
their
that.
current representative, and she's running for
Yes.
re-election. Oh no, she's not. I'm so sorry. Or is she? Yeah, she is. She's running for re-election.
She beat what was her name? Elaine something.
No, Jen Kagans.
Right. Who did she defeat last race?
Let me see. Let me see here.
She beat Elaine Luria, I want to say. That's her last name, Luria.
This was the second congressional district. Let me go all the way over here to that's 96. Here we go. Yeah, Elaine Luria. She defeated her.
Yes. I couldn't believe that.
That was a
Ah,
shocker.
I think that district will stay Republican
It
though.
will. Yeah, for sure.
But I think because honestly, if she got beat, that's going to be hard to flip it back unless Harris does like exceptionally well in Virginia, which I don't expect.
Like Biden
She'll
did.
do exceptionally well. Yeah, she won't do that well,
She won't do that
but
well in Virginia, no. I think she's gonna do less
yeah,
worse than Biden this year around.
I think she will too in Virginia because a lot of those voters were not really,
Keen on
they
her
were just
nomination.
right.
And for Washington 3, I feel like I mean, it's a rematch between Joe Kent and
Maria will win.
Maria's gonna
She's
win
very
by lead
popular.
margin. I feel
Yeah, she's very popular and very moderate too.
by Joe Kent and Marie Glusin Perez. Because Joe Kent is not very popular and he is like pro pure MAGA, which is not very appealing to the base
Yeah,
of
he's like
Washington.
extreme MAGA.
He's like very extreme. And now time for the final uh, congressional district in Wisconsin. Wisconsin number 3, which is currently represented by Derek Van Orden. He won the last election by 3.7%, but it went for Trump by 4.7%.
Republican.
It's going Republican.
Republican.
Okay.
Yep.
And I think that's all the congressional district. And according to this, Democrats will regain the House.
Yes, I do expect Democrats to regain the House, having Hakeem Jeffries as Speaker, becoming the first Black House Speaker.
And Democrats will do better than in 2020. Democrats will have 224 seats to Republicans 211. So that
Sounds about right.
so that is a minus 11 from 22.
Yes.
So we expect Democrats to win.
Yes.
And now what's got me really interested is that how come these two states are targeted, Washington and Oregon, with ballot box burnings?
That's crazy.
So, according to NBC News, ballot drop box fires in Oregon and Washington are likely connected, according to officials. Somebody burned an incendiary device in there, and it burned at least a lot of ballots in there, and they already contacted the voters that lost those ballots.
Yes.
It was in Portland, Oregon, and Vancouver, Washington. Um, they were set on fire Monday morning, with authorities believe are connected incidents about a week from Election Day. An identical Volvo was spotted at both scenes in the use of an incendiary device in Portland was similar in nature to what occurred in Vancouver, the city's police department said. Portland police described the act as targeted and intentional. 3 ballots were damaged in Portland, while potentially hundreds were affected in Vancouver, local officials say. The Portland Police Bureau said an incendiary device was placed inside a sidewalk ballot box in the Central City District by the time officers responded to reports about 3:30 in the morning. Security personnel in the area had extinguished the flames. Officers
Right.
determined an incendiary device was placed inside the ballot box and used to ignite the fire. Portland police said in a statement, adding the Bureau's explosive disposal unit removed the mechanism. Portland police were continuing to investigate. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office said it would step up patrols around ballot drop boxes in the county. Yeah, so
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what there really is to say on that other than crazy.
and then a half hour later, the same day, in Vancouver, there was another ballot box fire at 4 in the morning in Vancouver, Washington, just an hour after the Portland.
Yes.
And flames and smoke could be seen from the box near the Fisher's Landing Transit Depot. Vancouver police said officers arrived to smoke and flames and found a suspicious device. The fire was put out and the city's Metro Explosive Disposal Unit collected the device. And then the FBI got involved because it was across state lines, obviously.
Right.
And the Clark County Auditor Greg Kempsey said potentially hundreds of ballots could be damaged. And that's what I have so far. Uh, and this was in Washington's 3rd Congressional District, where Perez is at.
Which, yeah, I don't think it'll affect her race very much.
It won't, but that's still, dangerous.
All right.
All right. And now we're going to go into the part about the 17-year-old intimidating voters, particularly Democratic women voters in Florida.
Florida welcomes that, so it doesn't surprise me. Florida's been weaponized, their government,
Hang on, that's
with
happening.
that Ron DeSantis and
Here we go.
now the far right Secretary of State. Florida
Um,
welcomes that kind of
so
behavior.
I was able to find this on ABC News and Fox News, like the Fox local news in Florida. It says here an
Yes.
18-year-old was arrested outside a Florida polling location Tuesday after police said he wielded a machete in order to intimidate voters. Caleb James Williams faces charges of aggravated assault on a person 65 years of age or older and improper exhibition of a firearm or dangerous weapon. In a press conference after the arrest, Neptune Beach Police Chief Michael J. Key said Williams brandished a machete in an aggressive, threatening posture over his head at two women ages 71 and 54. And there's his mugshot. And he for sure is not
Interesting.
he's for sure not ever gonna vote ever again.
No.
He's not gonna vote ever again, according to Florida law. Williams was accompanied by seven other male teens, ages 16 and 17, who police said went to the beach's branch library to protest and antagonize the opposing political side. What do you think about that, Colin?
As I said, I mean, Florida welcomes that kind of behavior.
And this was in Duval County.
Yeah, that's a swing county too.
And not only that, but guess what? These teenagers posted this stuff all over the internet.
Yes.
Idiots, right? Idiot kids.
Yes.
And according to Fox, it's like kind of the same story. It happened around 4 p.m.
Now let's get to, do you think this will affect the election at all?
I feel like it would not because
I
like
agree. I don't think it will.
they already first of all the ballot boxes in Oregon and Washington they already notified the voters there, so they're good there. And they already
Right.
arrested and protected the people there in Duval County, so I think they're good there. So they're still allowed to vote.
I agree with
So
you.
I think it didn't likely change any votes. And now,
I don't think it did either.
yeah. Now let's get on to the Madison Square Garden rally.
Now, to be honest, at first, I really thought Trump was making big gains in New York. But I think that that rally was a big mistake about some of the speakers he had. So I think that really gave Democrats some more cushion room.
I so this is what I think. So I've been hearing from a bunch of Republican, people, you know.
Right.
Uh, hang on a minute. All right, New
You
York
good?
Times is not letting me.
Okay.
Every,
Yeah. I think that it, I
I
mean, especially Puerto Rican voters. I mean, not in my lifetime at least, they haven't been this democratic like they're looking like they will
yeah,
be.
because
That hurt Trump's chances. And
mhm.
Puerto Ricans are everywhere. And in close states like Pennsylvania, even Florida, I think will be pretty close.
And
With
Texas
these
too,
states with,
and Texas
yes,
too.
Texas too, with states with high Puerto Rican
Yeah,
populations,
now,
Trump obviously welcomed that
yeah,
rhetoric. He didn't
he
seem
did.
to disavow it or anything. Even though he didn't directly say it, it showed that he didn't have any problem with it. So a
And
lot of voters
no,
are like,
and
so I
and
guess
not to
Trump's no
mention,
different.
and not to mention, and I don't know, like I will not say this, like I will not say the full word because, like I will not say the word because I feel like we'll be demonetized by YouTube for saying this. But
Right.
according to reports, according to reporters, there was a script written for the comedian, full of jokes, where they were about to call Kamala Harris the C word
Yes,
with the
I did see that.
UNT. at the end.
I did see that.
And I feel like Trump, even though I've been hearing from a bunch of Republican supporters saying that it was just a joke, why does there make problem? Is like, first of all, like you cannot control what people think. That's one thing. And two,
Yes.
and many people are comparing it to like about the Will Smith slap, if you remember that. Like when Chris
Right.
Rock like made a joke about, his wife, and then Will Smith felt offended by that. That's how Puerto
Right.
Ricans feel.
Yes.
And not to mention, Puerto Rico is not a country. It is a territory.
In the United States.
And they are considered Americans. And they are
Yes.
allowed to vote in presidential elections on the mainland. Not to mention, Trump already lost two main supporters. Bad Bunny already endorsed him. That rapper who supported Trump at first already withdrew his endorsement, and I think and then like J Lo also endorsed a bunch of Puerto Rican and Latino voters started endorsing Harris, and like if people say like Latino voters are now like are out of their mind, now voting for Trump, let me tell you something. Even though Trump did not say this specifically, the campaign welcomed this. The campaign welcomed this. And
That's what I'm saying.
this
Yeah.
makes the campaign look bad. It looks bad on them. And they're gonna lose Latino voters because I forgot what the poll site was. I forgot what it was. But according to this poll site, a bunch of Latino voters, 85% of them are saying now they will vote for Harris.
I did see that. If that's accurate, that's remarkable.
No, I have not seen that since probably like Ronald Reagan.
Wow.
And I feel like what I think that rally in New York killed Republicans up and down the ballot nationwide.
I do too.
Now, do I think it's going to affect the Senate race? Not as much, but the House races for sure.
Yes.
All right. So because of this, now of course, Harris rallied male voters and a bunch of female voters in Houston, Texas. Um, what do you think about that, Colin? Like, do you think that helped her with Beyonce on the stage and
I
all?
do. I do. A lot of publicity. That really helped a lot. I really do. I think it helped a lot of young people get out too. So yes, I do definitely think it helped her.
And I think because Beyonce does have a big support of
Yes.
black voters, both male and female, not to mention a bunch of endorsements from the Latino community and celebrities. That's also going to help her with the Latino community. That's definitely going to help her in Texas.
I
And
believe you're right.
she targeted male voters, saying, "Do you want to lose your female relatives and your family?" So like I like how she targeted them, like not about the genitalia, but like about how would they feel if they lost their members because of the stupid law that was preventable medically. I feel like she
I think
targeted
that
those type
was
of
yes.
voters. What do you think, Colin?
I agree with you.
All right, and I think Florida and Texas will be closer because of Trump's rally in New York. But I feel
I
like
do
both
too.
states will still go to Trump, but maybe by a narrower margin, maybe like by 2% at best.
Yes.
And now let's go to the early voting. So for anybody, for us looking at NBC News, this is the only news source where we were able to find voter early voting, and this is based on political affiliation, and registration. But I want people to know, just because voter registration is higher with Republicans or Democrats doesn't mean they're technically going to vote for Trump or Harris. That's not what that means.
Right.
Party registration means the
Right.
party they registered with. And there's going to be a lot of Republican Harris voters.
Yes.
And we can switch to battlegrounds only. So let's go to Nevada first. So according to Nevada early voting, 34%. So we're gonna go with the votes already cast. 34% are Democrats, 38% are Republican, and 28% are independent. I feel like this is the race Harris is gonna win because she got the majority of the independent voters, and
Yes.
she got a quarter of the Republican vote. So Nevada is definitely a race to win. The age groups,
Correct.
uh, 36. There's more 65 and over, but of course she's leading with that demographic. With of course the
Yes.
18 to 29 and 30 to 39, those are also in her favor. The only thing that's in Trump's favor is obviously the 40 to 49-year-old and the 50 to 64.
Yes.
And
That's true.
so like if you like gather it all up, this is the this is the state Harris can most likely win. And among
Yeah,
gender,
I do agree with that.
44% of female voters voted. 44% of male voters voted, and so it's like a neck and neck between gender. And 12% of unknown gender, like transgender, they them voters,
Oh, I see.
like 12% already registered. And according to vote type, they're both 50-50 in mail-in and in person. I
I
feel,
got you.
but I think this is the race Harris is gonna win. This state.
Yeah, I think I agree with you.
Now let's go to Arizona. 42% of Republicans have already cast their votes. 33% of Democrats. 25% of Independents. Now this one is gonna be very tight because half of the Republican electorate are McCain supporters.
That's true, and a lot refuse to vote for Trump.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like half of these voters are for McCain. And not to mention, Kamala Harris already got an endorsement from the McCain family, so that's definitely going to help her.
Yes, the
And
McCain's son is helping. Cindy McCain can't technically because she's serves in a role right now, but I'm sure she's 100% behind Harris.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yes.
So now among age, so I feel like this is gonna be a tight race, but I think Nevada has a higher chance of going to Harris than Arizona. Now that
You
I
think
see,
so?
now that I see it with the early voting,
Yeah, I think Nevada will go blue, but it's not going to be a big giant margin.
no, I feel like Harris will win like Nevada, but maybe like 2% at best. 2%.
Yes.
Arizona will go for her like maybe by 1.5%, like 1.5, 1.6. So I think both states are definitely gonna go Democrat. And of course, among age groups, it's the same story like Nevada, with the majority. Because remember, the older folks, they remember the Republican Party, and they do not like how the Republican Party is represented today.
Right.
And these are the same voters that elected McCain in the 90s.
This is true.
And among gender, more women with 48% have voted compared to men 43%, and 9% unknown among gender. And the majority of the ballots in Arizona are by mail, which is definitely going to benefit Democratic voters.
Yes.
Uh, Georgia. Let's go to Georgia. For it's a very tight race. 45% of Democrats already registered. 48% have already 45% Democrat. 48% Republican and 7% Independent. Th- Colin, what do you think about that voter early vote turnout about Georgia?
It's really good for Democrats.
And do you think that
I
because of
really
the
think it's good for Democrats.
and do you think that the Republican split is definitely going to help her too?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, so how much would you say a quarter of the Republican registration do you think she's going to get?
Like as a country or in certain state.
In Georgia, because
Oh, just in Georgia.
it's 45% Democrat, 48% Republican, 7% Independent.
She'll get. I think she'll get about maybe 15% of the Republican vote, and Georgia maybe 10%.
And of course, all Democrats are going for Harris, obviously.
Yeah, there's not going to be hardly. There'll be a couple Democrats for Trump, but
But they're barely
I
like by
doubt it.
1 to 2%.
Right,
And not to mention, like, there's a bunch of anti-Trump voters.
right. And I think a lot of people, when they get behind the ballot box, they won't vote for him.
So that means at least 33% of the Republican registration will go for Harris. So then if you total all that up, and a lot of independents are going for her too. She got the independent vote too. Georgia's going Democrat for sure. And shockingly, I think Georgia is definitely going more blue than Arizona, shockingly. I think.
Yeah, you might be right on that.
That's the first time I've ever seen Georgia go more blue in any election since '92. When Clinton
Yes,
lost Arizona, but he won Georgia.
yes,
Age group is around the same, but it's a tie between 82-29 and 32-39. But I feel like that helps Harris more.
yes,
Uh, vo- 56% of women have already voted. 44% of men. 0% of unknown. And the majority and 6% is mail-in. 94% is in person. And according to Georgia election voting votes, like elections, the rules, they're gonna be counting the in-person votes first.
yes.
So
That's correct.
I think Trump is gonna be in the lead in the beginning of the night. He's gonna be in the lead. But I think as more votes get counted along the night, and they made voting counting process faster in Georgia, I think this is the state Harris is gonna win for sure at the end of the day.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. So let's see. Michigan. You want to take over this one, Colin? About Michigan?
Michigan. Um, Michigan's very interesting. The Arab American and Muslim Americans, I think, or I don't know if they're necessarily gonna vote for Trump, but I think,
Yeah, they already said they're not voting for Trump. They already said they're not voting for
yeah,
him.
yeah. I mean,
I mean, do you want to see the
I think
percentage?
Harris has good enough cushion
Do you want?
to take over
Yeah.
Michigan,
hmm Do you want to
but
say
yeah,
the voting percentages of votes right there right now, according like based on registration?
I don't have that
I gave you the
pulled
link.
up.
It's on NBC News. That's the only source I'm able to find.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna pull that up real quick. Where did you give me the link?
On the Google Doc. So it's like at the end.
Oh, it's the very bottom one.
Yeah,
Okay, I see it right there.
and then you can go to like find your state and then like press Michigan.
All right, perfect. So out of all of the mail-in and early in-person votes, it looks like so far it's 46% Democratic, 43% Republican, and 11% other. I think that's really good for Harris.
And especially with the Republican split and the majority of the independent voting,
Yes, I think it looks really good for Harris
I
in Michigan, but
I think she's
I
gonna
think,
lose.
yep,
I mean, Arab American voters have or make up at least near 20% of the Democratic electorate in Michigan.
yes.
But half of
So I
that
think it's going
electorate
to be
said,
split.
but half of that Democratic electorate said they will be voting for Harris. So let's just say maybe about 20% will not vote for Harris.
It's just a threat and a protest. I don't
Yeah,
think they're actually going to stay home or vote for Trump. They will show up for Harris, I do feel like,
but not
but I don't.
enthusiastically.
Yes, exactly, but very secretly.
But also, I think the Republican split is also going to help. And not to mention, not there was not a lot of Republican voters in Michigan that voted in the primary because they felt like their votes will be wasted if they voted at all in the primary
Right.
because they felt like the primary is going to go automatically go to Trump because it's not enough Nikki Haley voters to win the state.
Correct.
But I feel like there's a lot of anti-Trump voters in Michigan, which I say like maybe about like 10, 11%.
Yeah, I would agree.
So I feel like because of this, Michigan will go blue, Democrat,
I think it will too.
but around maybe the same margin as Georgia, and that's particularly because of the Arab voter. That's because to particularly of the Arab voters.
Yes, I'm in full agreement with you.
All right, the next state we can go over is Nevada. Oh, did we go over Nevada already?
Let's see. Did we? I want to say we did
I
go
think
over
we did go over
Nevada.
Nevada and Arizona already. We already did
We did
Michigan.
those westerns.
We already did Georgia. We let's do Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Alrighty.
All right, it looks very promising for the Democrats actually in
Looks
Pennsylvania.
great for Democrats. Yes. They
Uh,
just have to keep those votes coming in.
56% Democrats, 33% Republican,
And Republic.
11% Independent. I think 5-6% of the electorate of Republican registers will go for Kamala Harris, because I feel like Pennsylvania is the only state out of all the Rust Belt
All the rest.
that that less Republicans will go for Harris,
I think you're right.
and especially because after the shooting um, in Pennsylvania against Trump, I feel like Republicans felt bad for Trump, so I feel like you know it was gonna
Right.
help Trump a bit, but it's not enough, and particularly out of Philadelphia County, it's definitely gonna
Right.
help Harris.
I agree with you.
Let's see among the age group, it's around the same, but it looks like it's leaning more towards Harris. Between 18 to 30, between 18 to 39-year-olds. From 40 to 64, it's about like 31%. 18% between 18 to 39, and 50%. So 68%. If I'm doing like my analysis correctly with the margin of error, I feel like this will go to Harris, the majority of these voters.
I do too.
And 56% of voters among gender are women. 43% are men, and less less than 1% is unknown gender.
Yes.
And 100% of the votes are mail in, which is very good for the Democrats. Pennsylvania is going Democrat
I really think it will go Democrat too.
by a larger margin, I think, than polling suggested.
I do too. I think it'll go Democratic more than that.
And you know what people
Than
say?
polls think.
If Pennsylvania goes Democrat, that is it for the Trump campaign.
That's it?
That's it. Remember how back in 2000 they said it was Florida, Florida, Florida?
Yes.
And the same story for this one, but for Pennsylvania, 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 Pennsylvania. Whoever wins Pennsylvania
Right.
wins the election. And Kamala Harris, she is on the road to 270, in my opinion.
I agree with you, man. I think we'll
I
see a
think,
President elect Harris in a couple of days.
mm-hmm. And I think because like states are doing now better with mail ballots, especially after 2020.
Yes, I hope we get some results
I feel
sooner.
like I feel like we can get a winner maybe by like November 6th we'll have a winner.
That would be good. I think we'll get a good idea late tomorrow night.
Late tomorrow night, maybe like around like 2 in the morning Eastern time.
We'll get a idea, but I don't think we'll get a projection.
I think because the safe states are gonna go as they are, New York, Vermont,
You're right.
and most people are gonna pay attention to the swing states.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. We already did Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Arizona. We now have two states left over: Wisconsin and North Carolina. Which one do you want to do first?
We'll do North Carolina since I already had that pulled up.
All right.
Let me find it. I just lost it.
And of course, like NBC is the only poll we could find, right? It's the only source we can find
Yes.
with voter
North
early
Carolina
voting.
is neck to neck.
Holy
32%
crap!
Democrats, 33%
I
Republicans,
think North
35% independent.
I think North Carolina's
I
gonna be
really
this.
think North Carolina might go blue this time.
It might
Mark
go blue.
Robinson
Yeah,
is
it's gonna go blue for sure.
destroying
Because
Mike Mark Robinson is destroying Republican turnout.
and it's hurting Trump, and not to mention, there's a bunch of Republicans split among the Republican Party, and the majority of independent voters are going for Harris, and all the Democrats, maybe by 1 to 2% of Democratic voters in North Carolina, are going to Harris, are not going to Harris, which is the majority. So I feel like this is a state she's gonna win for sure, but I feel like it's gonna be super tight. I think North Carolina is the tightest race we're gonna see.
But we'll figure that one out on election night, though.
Yeah, but obviously this is just my analysis based on what we're seeing currently.
Yes.
I think North Carolina will be the tightest race.
All righty. We shall see. Let's head to Wisconsin.
Yeah, and I'm just showing you what
Currently,
people.
Democrats are at 34%, Republicans at 25%, and then independents at 41. A very high margin of independence there.
and of course, and there was a recent polling among independents too in Wisconsin, and it
Yes.
said at least 45% of the independent electorate will go to Harris. 45%. To 31% for Trump, to the rest of the voters who will not vote for either candidate.
That would be about right.
So I feel like because the majority are going to Harris and 41% already registered, I think this is the race she's going to win for sure. I think this will be her second best state within the battleground states after Michigan. Or no, you know what? Actually, after Pennsylvania, I think the best state she's doing well in is Pennsylvania.
I really do too. Now that we've kind of reevaluated the numbers and stuff, I really do. I think Pennsylvania's hers.
All right. So based on what we saw, should we redo the map one more time?
Um,
Like, and just the swing states.
just okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know. That's an awful lot of states. Yeah, let's do the swing states.
Yeah. All right. And obviously, we can take a look at Iowa and Texas like later after this,
Okay.
because and Florida too, because I feel like those got definitely closer.
Yes,
For Nevada, I think it is lean Democrat. You?
I'm in agreement. Nah, tilt Democrat.
No. Arizona, I think is lean.
You get you. Yeah, lean.
Wis-
Yeah,
Wisconsin,
I'm on the verge. Lean Democratic.
Michigan. I feel like that's tilt because of the era voters.
Yep, tilt.
Uh, what about for Pennsylvania? And
Lean Democratic.
I think it's like I think I'm between lean and likely. I'm kind of in between.
I don't know it'll be that much, but I think
Well, I mean,
it'll be a
because Bob
comfortable
Casey's.
lean margin.
Well, I mean, Bob Casey's also running there, and he's very
He's
popular.
popular. Yes.
Oh boy. Uh, let's go with lean just to be safe. But I feel
Okay.
like it's near the. But I feel like it's near North Carolina. I feel like it's tilt
Tilt Democrat.
Democrat.
Yes.
In Georgia, I think that's lean Democrat based on like the voters that we analyzed.
Mm, I think I give that tilt Republican.
Georgia.
Georgia, huh?
Well, we'll just leave it as a toss up
Okay.
because based on the numbers, it can go either way.
That's right.
But even without Georgia, Kamala Harris wins with 303 electoral votes
Right.
to Trump's 219. That's bad news for the
Yes.
Trump campaign.
Right.
I think because Pennsylvania, and I think because I think we're in agreement, the Southwest is going Democrat. Wisconsin, Michigan,
Yes.
Pennsylvania, the Rust Belt is going Democrat as well.
Yes.
She doesn't even need North Carolina or Georgia. She doesn't need them.
Right.
She got the necessary states that she needed.
Did we name through all the swing states?
Yeah. And
I think that's all of the.
I,
Let's discuss Iowa
I
just real
let's just
quick.
let's discuss Iowa, Texas, and Florida real quick
Okay,
because
let's
those are
do
like
it.
really interesting after like these
Let me
recent
take a
polls.
look at Iowa's.
Yeah, let me
See what
take a look
that's
at.
looking like.
I'll take a look at Iowa. Yeah, let's take a look at Iowa first.
Iowa's 39% to 40%,
Oh,
with the
okay,
Republicans at 40
okay.
and 21% for other.
I think the poll was right on point. I think the poll was accurate.
I know. I, I I think it's a chance Iowa might surprise us all.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it's a chance
I think it's a chance.
because
I think
yeah,
I'm
for
changing
sure, man.
my I think I'm changing my mind about Iowa now. I feel like that's gonna go tilt Democrat.
There's no Republican in the Senate race either, so Iowa's like, what do we?
Not only
I
that,
think
but
they're
the
gonna go for Harris.
and not only that, but the majority of people who already voted are women. And based on the vote tab, 100% is mail in.
55% women.
I think Harris is
And it's
gonna.
a lot of
I
senior
think, in my
voters.
opinion, even with the same in person votes, this is a Harris tilt. Shockingly to me,
Yes, very shocking.
I think this is the first time we're gonna see Iowa flip, and in a
We
decade.
just might. Only thing is, Donald Trump is leading Harris in the markets on Polymarket by 20. You think that'll change tomorrow?
I don't think so. But remember, these are just the majority of these people are millionaires, and they're mostly registered with Republicans. So obviously they're gonna go with the Republican Party on this.
Yeah, that's true.
And to be honest, these are just people putting bets. I don't really trust those people.
Right.
But I feel that I think that poll that we just saw was a seltzer. I think they're right on point.
They just might be.
I feel like they may be a bit
And that's not
off.
the first poll that's shown her gaining ground in Iowa.
No, she's also getting in Ohio too. And she's also getting in Texas,
I haven't.
Georgia, Florida. She's been getting everywhere recently in 1 week. After that Madison
Let's move
Square
on to
rally, she's
Texas.
been gaining voters.
Yeah, let's move on to Texas.
Yeah, let's move on to Texas now. Texas, Texas, Texas. 37% Democrat, 50% Republican, 13% Independent. Okay.
Republicans are have a commanding lead in Texas.
Yeah, even with the Republican split, I feel and the mail-in and the same day votes, I think I'm gonna stick with my. I think I'm gonna stay with my idea in Texas as lean Republican.
But I think Democrats will catch up tomorrow.
They'll catch up. They will, but I don't think it's. I don't.
Now they won't overtake them, but they'll catch up.
They'll catch up, but I feel like I think I'm in agreement with you. I think there's like a 2 point advantage
Right.
for Republicans. I just feel like it's not enough for Democrats to go over. But it's possible. But I think based on what we're seeing
Right.
now, I don't think it's in. I don't think it's not enough. But 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 that's for the presidency though. I feel like there's gonna be split ticket votes.
I think the Senate race will be closer
I think the Senate,
than the
yeah, then the
presidential.
presidential, yeah. I feel like for the presidential, it's going Republican for sure by 2 points at least. But for the Senate,
Yeah.
I feel like because Ted Cruz is way more unpopular than Trump, I think there's
Yes.
gonna be more outright Trump voters, and I think Texas has a chance of getting a Democratic senator. A chance.
A chance, yeah.
Like I think it's a long shot. It's a long shot, but according to recent polling and according to like this, and according to Republican split ticking and according to unpopular vote and according to unpopularity of Ted Cruz, I think this is a race Ted Cruz is probably going to lose. And I feel like even if we lose Montana, if we can gain Texas, they can still keep Democratic control.
Yeah, that's true. I think, yeah, Cruz will win, but I think it might be even more. It'll be,
But if Albert wins,
yeah,
that
yeah.
will be an upset.
It will be an upset, but it wouldn't be anything too far fetched.
Hmm. Let's go to
So,
Florida.
Florida, same game there. Rick Scott is in trouble.
Oh, let me see.
Donald Trump has some cushion, but Rick
Yeah.
Scott is in trouble.
Risk.
He might be in trouble.
Same with Ted Cruz. I think Florida and Texas is the same story.
Yes.
And particularly, I think I think Rick Scott has a higher chance of losing this race. Why? Because of the Trump rally in Madison Square Garden, they turned away Puerto Rican voters. It's the second largest group voting demographics in Florida after Cubans.
That's true.
And according to age, the majority are older, so that's definitely gonna benefit Democrats. And the younger voters of between 18 to 39 is low, but it's also benefiting Harris and the Democrats. The one that I'm worried about though is the 12 to 28. But I think because of the older population and the Democrats saying they're going to raise the Social Security age, I think that's definitely going to turn them off.
Senior voters, I think, are going to go more Democratic in Florida.
Yeah,
And the Latino voters aren't really moving as far right as they did last time. So I think Florida will be closer
yeah.
than people are expecting it
And
to be.
according
I
to
think
gender,
it'll be within
and
3%.
and according to gender, 55% of women already voted.
Yes.
According to 45% of men. And based on voter type, the majority are in person, 35% are mail in. So that kind of hurts Democrats a bit, but I think in my opinion, Donald Trump is going to win this state by a tilt margin. I think it will go Trump, but I think by a tilt margin. What do you think?
Lean margin.
Lean?
Yeah.
I say tilt. I mean, it's around the same, but I feel like it's going to go tilt Democrat now for the Senate.
So you think Debbie Powell wins the Senate race?
I think she will be the next senator of Florida.
She's a good candidate.
I
I think
she ha-
Rick Scott, I'm
she
saying
has a higher
I give
chance
Rick the
of winning.
edge because he always pulls off. He's just a
He's gonna
crook who never loses, but but I think
he's
this
can
could be the toughest race he's ever had.
and
Besides, I don't know, Bill Nelson. That was a tougher one when he beat Bill Nelson,
well, I
but
mean, it was
I
between
think
two white men, but he's going against a Latina.
yeah, and she understands, that communism, socialism is dangerous for America because she's from Colombia, I believe.
Ecuador,
She understands. What'd you say?
Ecuador. She's from Ecuador.
Ecuador, not Colombia.
No, Ecuador.
Um,
Colombia
but
never
see,
had a communist leader ever, but Ecuador did.
okay, well, proves the point. Then, yeah, she understands this stuff firsthand. So I think she'll give she'll give him a good run, and I think she might catch him off guard.
And she
Telling
could
you,
and she
Florida does not like Rick Scott.
and sh-
Florida does
mhm.
not like Rick Scott.
and
Even people who vote for him don't like him.
and she could possibly even help Harris.
Possibly, but I think a lot of these Latinos in Miami-Dade will split their
Yeah.
ticket. I think they'll go for her, but for Trump, a lot of them will.
And Georgia, are you in agreement that it's a toss up? Like it's too based on voter
It's
registration,
too it's too close to call.
it's just too close.
Yeah, Bill Clinton going there did help, especially in the rural parts. Because if she can lose by less in the rural parts, she'd be all right.
Okay, but okay, so let's just okay. So according to this, without Georgia, Kamala
Okay.
Harris has 309 to Trump's 213. But let's just say out of like um let's just say out of curiosity, like if something happens in Georgia, right?
Right.
Let's just say Georgia goes Democrat, like for example, right? Let's just say she will win
Okay.
325 electoral votes. If Trump wins, she will have 309 to Trump's 229. But I feel
Yes.
like she's gonna exceed Biden's electoral college vote count.
So you think she'll get more than Joe Biden did?
Yes, and I think it's because she is just comparing herself to Trump, saying like how she has more, you know, that she prosecuted criminals. She ran against the gangsters. She ran against drugs.
Yes.
She is definitely pointing that out, and she's also pointing out that she was also pointing out to the men, do you want your family members to die who are particularly female because of a stupid law?
Yes.
and she's gaining with a bunch of the white electorate recently. And the Madison Square Garden fiasco that definitely helped her too.
That helped her.
And
Trump did
there's a
not
big
handle that
Latino vote,
smartly at all.
and there is and there it's small, but there is a big portion of Latino votes in the Iowa cities.
Yeah, you never know.
But I feel like Iowa can go either way. But in my opinion, I think Iowa will go tilt Democrat.
Tilt Democrat.
hmm So like if we put this like our perspective, like based on winning, right?
Yes.
The stage should definitely flip. Will be. Give me a minute. She's definitely gonna win. So without Georgia in perspective, she's going to flip North Carolina and Iowa based on our analysis.
Yes.
And I think this is the first time Iowa will vote apart from Ohio since 2000.
That would be, wouldn't it?
It would be. And nobody expected this. But if she wins Ohio though, if she wins Ohio, I'm going to be shocked.
I don't think that'll happen. I'm pretty confident about that.
No, but I'm saying if she does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mexican congressional district is definitely staying red, but I think Iowa. Yeah, I think. All right, so I think that's it. I think that's it of our podcast.
That's it. Yeah. We both, sounds like you and me, we have President elect Kamala Harris and Vice President
Tim
elect
Walz.
Tim Walz becoming first woman president, first black and Asian president. And we have our first black House Speaker, Hakeem Jeffries, along with Republicans winning back the Senate. It's unclear who their leader will be next,
Many people are saying
but
it
that
could.
is our prediction.
Yeah, but many people are saying John Cornyn. Like I heard they nominated John Cornyn to be the nominee.
I don't know if they nominated him, but I know he wants it. Or John Thune.
John. I mean, John Thune's right now like what the majority, no minority, like
He's the minority whip.
yeah,
I think.
minority whip.
I
He's
think
like
John Cornyn's probably the front runner.
uh huh.
I like Senator Cornyn, if I'm being honest with you. He's establishment.
He is. I feel like yeah. I think.
See,
hmm
he's hard to beat in Texas, but Ted Cruz is such a joke.
But I mean, if Democrats are able to win Texas or Florida, because they started putting money back into those both of those states, you know.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah. So I think that's it. So for anybody who's watching, tomorrow is tomorrow by November 5th. I mean, I'm on the West Coast. Colin, you're on the East Coast, right?
On the East Coast, Washington, D.C.
All right. So for people who are on the eastern side of the United States, today is election day. Vote. Go vote. Make your voices heard. This is just our analysis, not a prediction. Based on the analysis that we're seeing, this is our analysis. And for people on the West Coast, tomorrow is election day. And for everybody, vote, vote, vote. It is not too late. You can even vote after polls close. Nobody can restrict your right to vote. Nobody. It is your right.
That's
Colin,
right. Show up and show out.
and do not only vote
And
for
remember,
president.
When
vote
you
for
get
Senate candidates. We are being nonpartisan
down
here.
ballot, local stuff.
Correct.
And also, remember who you vote for behind the ballot box is your business. Just because you don't want to publicly claim something, the only person who knows is you and the Lord. You do not have to vote for who people are telling you to. When you go behind that ballot box, you do whatever you want. It's nobody's business, and there's no way of finding out either who you voted for.
And it doesn't matter who you vote for. It doesn't matter if you vote for Trump. It doesn't matter if you vote for Harris.
Just go
Use
vote,
your
exercise
voice.
your rights.
Exercise your civic duty as a citizen of the United States.
Yes.
Tomorrow is election day. Uh, and I believe we'll be posting on our post, right? Like on the YouTube post. We will not be recording election night. Unfortunately,
Right.
Colin and I are busy that day. But
Yes.
we will be posting about who does win the races. So, Colin, anything you want to
That's
say
correct.
before election polls close?
There's nothing I want to say other than go vote and let's let's exercise the rights that we're blessed to have.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a good have a good night. This will be posted November 5th in the morning, Pacific Standard Time. It will be uploaded by 11 a.m. Pacific Standard and by 2 o'clock Eastern. I want everybody to know that. Okay. And Colin, anything else to say to the people besides the voting?
And thanks for watching. It's always a blessing.
And make sure to always subscribe too. Make sure to subscribe and like the
Yes, we
video.
really appreciate you all.
All right. Thank you, everybody, and have a good night.